So today I'm up here at the Joe Bird Cemetery in Huntsville, Texas. This is a really old cemetery that's not too far from the Huntsville prison here, and there's a few notable names buried here that I wanted to talk about. I'm looking for Henry Lee Lucas' grave. Henry Lee Lucas was a serial killer. He died in prison here in Huntsville. They had a Netflix series on him, I think like in 2019 or something, and they dubbed him the Confession Killer because, once he was in prison after killing some people, he would confess to any victim that the investigators would bring to him, asking him if he did it or knew anything about it, and he would just automatically say yes. I guess he wanted the attention and stuff. But it's crazy to think too, like when you're at prison cemeteries like this, like some of these motherfuckers gotta be innocent, you know what I'm saying? Like there's things that happen all the time with the advancement of like forensic science. People get released like years and years later after they get convicted of something, and some of them just die in prison even though they were wrongfully convicted, which is crazy. So I always think about that kind of shit. But here's Henry Lucas' grave right here. All right, so the next grave I'm here to find is the grave of Kenneth Allen McDuff. He was another serial killer here in Texas. He first started killing in like his 20s in the 1960s, like mid to late 1960s. He had killed 3 people in one. He had kidnapped some teenagers, and one of the teenagers, he got a broomstick and strangled the girl until her neck broke. And so he was given the nickname the Broomstick Killer. And the other 2 he shot inside of his trunk. Of course, he gets caught. He goes to prison here in Huntsville. He somehow or another gets parole. He gets out in 1989, where over the next few years he kills a few more people. So, I think a few people in 91, a few people in 92. And when that happened, he got caught again, obviously, and this time he was sentenced to life in prison. And he's the only person to ever get 2 life sentences in his lifetime. And so here's actually, let's see, where's his grave at? Oh, here it is. So he was actually executed on November 17th, 1998. So his grave's right here. And doesn't have his name because nobody wanted to claim his grave. His family didn't want to claim his body or nothing, so they buried him here in the Huntsville prison cemetery. The EX there stands for execution. That's his birthday, or no, his death day, sorry, and his execution number there. All right, so the next grave I'm going to be looking for and showing y'all is the grave of a Native American Kiowa chief. His name was Satanta. He led the tribes on some attacks and raids on the American settlers in like the 1860s, years after America declared its independence and the whites started taking over all the land over here. After all the raids were performed, they were trying to force the settlers back into the reservations, and Satanta and his crew were not having that. And so they would attack back, and eventually Satanta would get caught. Him and another chief were the first Native Americans to ever be tried in like a U.S. like civil law courtroom or whatever. So it was like pretty historical. A lot of people came to that. And of course he was found guilty and imprisoned in Huntsville up here. And this is his grave here. So he actually jumped to his death off of the second story in the prison, which is the prison where that happened is like a mile or 2 away from here. And you can see here his remains are no longer here. They moved him back to Fort Sill, where he was from. But yeah, that's my tour of the Joe Bird Cemetery. If y'all want me to go to any other cemeteries around the greater Houston area, let me know.